Welcome back. Now let's discuss the important entries in exemption chapter. We will go sector wise and discuss most of the entries which you have learnt. First of all, exemption comes from section 11 of CGST Act and correspondingly section 6 of IGST Act. The notification number which grants the exemption for services, because you learn only service related exemption, is 12/2017, and here it is 9/2017 of IGST Act. An exemption can be of general nature or special. General is available to everyone. Special is available to only those who have a order. It is given in exceptional circumstances only. If an exemption is unconditional, that is absolute, then it is mandatory to follow such exemption. You don't have an option. Then the law also deals with clarification or explanation. If an explanation is inserted within 1 year from the date of notification, then it will have a retrospective effect. If it is given after 1 year, then it will have a prospective effect. Now let's talk about sectors. The first sector which we are going to deal with is renting of immovable property. First, understand that renting of any immovable property enjoys a taxability status, because there is no exemption for any renting of immobile property, but renting of few immobile properties enjoy an exemptions. Like, first one is vacant land given on rent for agriculture. If the vacant land is given for agriculture, then it enjoys an exemption. Is the term agriculture defined? Yes. Agriculture means cultivation of plants and rearing of all forms of animals except horses. Then second entry is renting of a residential dwelling. For use as residence. And then the law says except to a registered person, because if it is given to a registered person, then it is taxable under RCM. Otherwise, renting of residential dwelling for a use of residential nature is exempt. Now there are two explanations to this. Explanation 1 says, in case it is for a sole proprietor, for his personal use, in his personal capacity, then in that case it will enjoy a exemption. That is explanation 1. Second explanation says nothing in this Second explanation says nothing in this entry will apply to hostels or camps or PGs, etc. Even if it is used for residential purposes, still PGs, etc. will not get this plain exemption, because this is a plain exemption. Irrespective of the amount, an exemption is available. But after bringing this explanation to, they brought one exemption also in this, and that one exemption is accommodation in hostels, camps, paying guest. Up to rupees 20,000 per month per person where the minimum period for which the rental is given is 90 days. Then in that case, exemption will be available. They have provided a very good limit that if it is 20,000, then in that case 20,000 per month will enjoy an exemption, but minimum period should be 90 days. If it is less than that, then in that case it will not be covered under the exemption and it will be liable to GST. So this is the first sector, that is renting of immovable property. Then the second sector is hiring of a means of transport. Now hiring, there are 4 exemptions totally. First one, a means of transportation of goods given to a GTA, that is a truck given to GTA. Then it says a motor vehicle designed to carry more than 12 passengers given to a state transport undertaking. And then electric vehicle given to a local authority. Last one, a motor vehicle for transportation of student, staff or faculty given to a person who is providing transportation of student, staff, faculty to preschool or up to higher secondary, that is also exempt. So this is about hiring. Then coming to construction. There are basically 3 exemptions. The first one is construction being pure labor contract, Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, very wide, it covers repair, renovation, etc. as well. Then you have single residential unit except as part of a complex, again pure labor contract. And the last one is creating infrastructure for electricity to reach farmland. This is very wide, it covers works contract as well. Then the next one is government related. Now government related, see, please understand one basic point. Any service to government is generally taxable. There are some exemptions, but to government is generally taxable. Any service by government or local authority, and when I say government, we are also talking about local authority in these entries, by government or local authority is generally exempt. Now by government, if you give an exemption, then it gives a undue advantage to government entities or government departments, where when they are providing the service, exemption will be available and private sector is liable to taxation. So that's why wherever there is a competition, they have said it will be taxable. So 4 things are taxable. First one, you have Department of Post. So any service provided by Department of Post or Indian Railways will be covered under taxability. Second, transportation of goods or passengers provided by government. Third, any service in relation to aircraft or vessel, whether inside or outside the port or aircraft. And last one is any service other than 1, 2, 3 provided to business entity. So if it is provided to business entity, then it will be taxable. Now first 3 are taxable under forward charge, and this is taxable under reverse charge mechanism. So last one is taxable under reverse charge, first 3 are taxable under forward charge. Now be careful, Indian Railways government has given 3 exemptions because they had made it completely taxable, so they came up with 3 additional exemptions. First one is something which is provided to general public, like sale of platform tickets. Then you have renting of waiting rooms. Then you have cloak rooms where you store luggage. And finally, battery operated car services. In the railway station, battery operated car services. Then between two zones or divisions of Indian Railways and any special purpose vehicle to Indian Railways or Indian Railways to special purpose vehicle has been exempted. What is a special purpose vehicle? They create separate infrastructure companies which will be laying down tracks, and then they will provide service of construction of that laying down of tracks, and Indian Railways is providing the service of maintenance of those tracks. So both will enjoy a exemption. So be careful about this entry. Now this word any was very wide. Now as this word any was very wide, government came up with various other exemptions, like if preceding financial year turnover is up to registration limit, then it will enjoy an exemption. That means question might say that the person has started business. If a person has started business, what is last year turnover? 0. Then it will enjoy a exemption. Up to 5,000 rupees, exempt. But these two are applicable only for fourth word and not for 1, 2, 3. Plus, this first one is not available for renting of immobile property, because renting of immobile property by government to registered person is taxable under RCM, to unregistered person is taxable under forward charge. Then we speak about passport, visa, driving license, birth certificate, death certificate, ERCC, excess royalty collection contractor collecting royalty on behalf of government, where the mining leaseholder has already paid the tax. Then you have minerals, which is petroleum or natural gas extraction, and then those rights to extract petroleum and natural gas, that has been exempted. This is called as profit petroleum. Profit petroleum is the share which a mining industry person earns after selling that oil which has been extracted. Cost petroleum is recovery of cost. Cost petroleum is anyways not a supply, because it's just cost recovery of the cost which was incurred to extract petroleum. Profit petroleum, government takes a share. That share of profit petroleum is exempted from GST. Thereafter, you have national permit, then allocation of natural resources to individual farmers, then merchant overtime charges, then registration under any law, and testing, safety check, calibration carried out in labor laws. Fines and penalties are anyways not liable, because there is no supply at all. Thereafter, you have a point related to government or local authority providing service to government or local authority. But this also does not apply to first three limbs. The entire purpose of all these exemption was to give a relief because of this wide word any. Fine? Okay. Then to government is generally taxable, but there are three exemption entries which are given. First one is fair price shop earning commission or margin. Then you have any panchayat or municipality related services, and there are two exemptions. One is pure service and one is composite service. Composite service where goods element does not exceed 25%. And then governmental authority. Say suppose there's a governmental authority which is doing a function under 243G, that too function of public health, slum improvement, rehabilitation. Then you have health, public health, which is there, sanitation, conservancy, and then water supply. So all these functions, any service given to governmental authority will be exempt. In fact, CBIC has also clarified that RERA, Real Estate Regulatory Authority, taking statutory fees, it is statutory fees taken by governmental authority, and hence it will enjoy an exemption. What's the difference between local authority and government authority, sir? Government authority is set up by an act of parliament, or where 90% control is there with government. Local authority comes from the constitution, that is panchayat and municipality. So that's the basic difference between the two. So be very careful with regard to government related exemption. Then we move on to the fifth one, which is education sector. Now, education sector, basically if something is an education institute, then any service provided by that education institute to student, staff or faculty will enjoy an exemption. Plus, conduct of entrance exam is also exempt. And CBIC has clarified that national testing agency or authority or board conducting entrance exam are regarded as education institute for the purpose of education institute entry, but only for the limited purpose of conduct of entrance exam, not for anything else. Then your CBSE, ICSE, state boards, all these are also regarded as education institute, but only for the limited purpose of conduct of examination. All affiliation services which is provided will be taxable, but affiliation to government schools will be exempt. So be careful about this. Affiliation, generally it is taxable. Exam fee from anyone, basically exam fee is taken from the students, that will be exempt. Doesn't matter government school or any other, because for this they are regarded as education institute. Now the question is, who is education institute? There are three parts. First part, preschool and up to higher secondary, that is till 12th. Second one, education as part of a curriculum to obtain a qualification recognized by law. And third one is any course which is approved by NCVET or SCVT. SCVT remains State Council for Vocational Training, but the name of NCVT is changed, National Council for Vocational Education Training. So they have added the word education, that's the change, and they have given some more functions, and one more entry is clubbed with National Skill Development Corporation. That National Skill Development Corporation or National Council for Vocational Education Training, conducting some programs, awarding bodies, giving service, training bodies, giving service, all those enjoy an exemption. So they have increased the ambit of NCVET and increased the exemptions which is available for NCVET. Anyways, any course approved by NCVET anyways is a education institute and will enjoy an exemption. Then on the purchase side, admission and examination all education institute get the exemption. Transportation, canteen, housekeeping, security, only for category 1 education institute. And subscription to online education journal, this is exempt only for category 2 education institute. Housekeeping and security, be very careful, it should be in the education institute, within the education institute, only then exemption will be available. Transportation anyways cannot be within, canteen also can be outside, no problem at all, but housekeeping and security should be within that education institute, only then it will enjoy an exemption, otherwise exemption will not be available. So be careful of all these points relating to education sector. Then we move on to transportation of goods. See, transportation of goods, basically road transportation, GTA and courier agency are taxable, all others enjoy an exemption. GTA to unregistered person other than specified person is also exempt. Railways completely taxable except for few products. Vessel completely taxable except for few products. Aircraft outside India to India, there's an exemption, otherwise there's no exemption. When we come to inland waterways, anyways inland waterways again enjoys a exemption. Then when we talk about a specific case relating to transportation of milk, salt, newspaper, food grains, agriculture produce, rice, pulses, defense equipment, relief material, organic manure, all these transported by road, rail or vessel, that is GTA, rail and vessel will enjoy a exemption. GTA providing service to central government, state government enjoys an exemption because government will never prefer paying taxes under RCM. So that's a very small entry. Then transportation of passenger, one of your favorite entries. This is also easy. Transportation of passenger, basically stage carriage, AC is taxable, non-AC exempt. Contract carriage, AC taxable, non-AC exempt, but if it is for tourism, charter hire, then it will be taxable. Auto, metered cab enjoy an exemption. Radio taxi taxable. Tramway exempt. Railways exempt. First class and AC will be taxable. Flights taxable, but if a flight is starting or terminating in northeastern state including Bagdogra in West Bengal, that to economy class, then it is exempt. But what about this commission charge for booking of that ticket? That is taxable because transportation enjoys an exemption, not everything which is related to that service which is exempt. And then vessel which is used for public transport also enjoys a exemption. Helicopter, aerial tramway, ropeway, cable car, all these are liable to GST. And vessel, public transport, the term public transport means designed or available or open for general public. It does not mean government owned. Then bus, auto, metered cab, these three being provided through e-commerce operator which is covered under 9(5) will not be eligible for an exemption, that is liable to GST. So be aware of that particular point. Then we move on to the next sector, which is agriculture. Agriculture, see, you need to know two definitions: agriculture produce and agriculture. Agriculture you are already aware: cultivation of plants, rearing of all forms of animals except horses. Second point is related to agriculture. Agriculture produces primary produce on which either no processing is done or some processing is done, which is usually done by the cultivator, and it does not change the essential characteristic of the agriculture produce. If this is satisfied, then training to farmers, testing of soil, vacant land given for these purposes, supply of farm labor, cultivation, harvesting, transportation, storage, all this will enjoy an exemption if it is agriculture or agriculture produce. In fact, intermediate production process which does not change the essential characteristic of the agriculture produce is also exempt, like dehusking of paddy when you dehusking of wheat. When you dehusk wheat, that wheat comes out and the husk is removed, that is exempt. But dehusking of paddy is taxable because dehusking of paddy is done by rice mills, and rice mills, that's not usually done by the cultivator. Rice is not a agriculture produce. As the essential characteristic changes, the processing will be taxable. Rice, does it have an exemption? Yes. Packing, loading, transportation, storage, warehousing enjoys an exemption, but commission agent of rice will be liable to GST. Then fruits, vegetables, cereals, pulses, storage and warehousing of this exempt. Minor forest produce, storage and warehousing also enjoys an exemption. Earlier there used to be an entry for fumigation of warehouse where agriculture produce is kept. Now it is deleted, it will be taxable. Then the next is healthcare service. Now healthcare service provided by three persons enjoys an exemption. First one is authorized medical practitioner, clinical establishment, paramedics, plus room rent. If it is more than 5,000 per day, then in that case it will be taxable. But if it is ICU, CCU, NICU or ICCU, then in that case any amount will enjoy an exemption. Veterinary clinic also enjoys an exemption. Healthcare service should be in a recognized system of medicine in India, plus diagnosis, treatment, care, cosmetic and plastic surgery or hair transplantation. If it is for an injury or trauma, that is necessity, then exempt. Otherwise luxury, then it will be taxable. Then we also dealt with charity. Now charity, say suppose it's a charitable trust registered under section 12AA or 12AB, then by charitable trust, four things enjoy an exemption. First one, public health related, bringing people out of drugs or family planning sessions being held, that is exempt. Second one is advancement of religion, spirituality, yoga. Third one is basically when you are giving education programs to orphaned, homeless, persons age more than 65 years living in rural area, or physically traumatized, or prisoners, those. And last one is preservation of environment including wildlife. Two charitable trust is liable to GST. Then the next one was old age home. Old age home up to 25,000 per month enjoys a exemption. If it is more than 25,000, then in that case it will be liable to GST. Then there is an exemption related to recreational activities in arts and culture by an individual enjoys an exemption. Training and coaching in sports by a charitable trust is exempt. Religious premise, within that if you rent out shops, halls, rooms, then if you are charging some less amount, exempt. For rooms, if 1,000 or more is charged per day, then taxable. Shops, 10,000 or more per month. Community halls, 10,000 or more per day, then in that case it is taxable. Then rehabilitation professionals also enjoy a exemption. Then the next discussion is about financial sector. Financial sector, before we enter into financial sector, one point, by embassy enjoys an exemption. These Pakistan embassy, US embassy, all these embassies in India provide visas, all that is exempt. Interest is exempt. Any kind of interest is exempt. In fact, bill discounting discount is also a form of interest which will enjoy an exemption. But when it comes to credit card interest, it is taxable, and if the underlying supply is taxable, then obviously interest will be taxable. That we have always learned, and it is there in the form of circulars as well, where the concept remains same. Then if you swipe a card up to rupees 2,000, then the charges which is charged by the bank to the merchant, that is also exempt. Exchange of foreign currency amongst banks and authorized dealer is also exempt, but when they sell it to general public and charge a commission, that commission will be liable. Then opening a bank account under Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, it's called as basic saving bank deposit account. Any charges on that is also exempt. Business facilitator, very important entry. Business facilitator providing services to bank. Business correspondent providing service to bank. If it is for rural area branch, then this is also exempt, this is also exempt. In fact, if they appoint sub-agents, then these two are also exempt. Commission is exempt if it is for a rural area branch. If they provide services to insurance company, then that service also enjoys a exemption. So a very wide exemption, but it should always be in rural area. If it is not in rural area, then forward or reverse depending on the circumstance. Business facilitator to bank is reverse charge. Agent to business correspondent is also reverse charge. If it is urban area, rural area anyways enjoys a full exemption. Then we enter some miscellaneous sectors. Some very important sectors are there in this, like transmission and distribution of electricity is exempt. In fact, any service by these transmission and distribution utilities which is additional, like meter change charges, shifting of meter, duplicate meter, renting of meters, or duplicate bill, they charge some additional amount. All these ancillary services to transmission and distribution of electricity is also exempted from GST. Toll charges, even if it is double toll, triple toll, when you don't have a FASTag, that will also be exempted from GST. What about advocates? Advocates also enjoy an exemption. Advocate or senior advocate providing services, legal service to other than business entity, exempt. To a business entity up to registration limit, exempt. Last year turnover, because there are only two entries where last year turnover basis you get exemptions. One is government and second one is advocate arbitral tribunal. Then advocate or arbitral tribunal providing service to Reliance Industries, which is a business entity whose turnover last year was more than registration limit, then it will be taxable under RCM, which we learnt in RCM. Advocate to another advocate is exempt, but senior advocate to advocate will depend on the recipient's last year turnover. If the recipient's last year turnover is below registration limit, exempt. If it is more than registration limit last year, then the recipient will have to pay tax under RCM. Then service applied to a foreign tourist. If you supply it to foreign tourist, wholly outside India tour, exempt. Partly outside India, partly in India, then the part which is outside India will be exempt. And how do you calculate that? You calculate that by proportionate based on number of days or 50% of the tour value, whichever is lower. Balance will be taxable. They providing service to Indian tourists, taxable. If the business exhibition is held outside India, then that also enjoys a exemption. Transfer of going concern enjoys an exemption. Artificial insemination of livestock, exempt, but if it is for horses, then it will be taxable. Right to information enjoys an exemption. Entry fee to museum, zoo, wildlife sanctuary, tiger reserve, ancient monuments, national park enjoys a full exemption. But when it is circus, drama, dance, any kind of dance, and then you have award functions, pageants, that is beauty contest, sporting event, whether recognized or other than recognized, up to 500 per person will enjoy an exemption. If it is amusement facility, anyways it is completely taxable. Performing artist only classical or folk, not any other form. Classical or folk plus consideration and charges up to 1.5 lakh per performance, then it is exempt. Plus it should not be as a brand ambassador, because if it is as a brand ambassador, again the exemption is not available. Thereafter we had also learnt about public convenience, public libraries. There are Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, Jeevan Jyoti Yojana, Aam Aadmi Bima Yojana, Varishta Pension Bima Yojana, Vaya Vandana Yojana, life micro insurance up to 2 lakh. All these are exempt. In fact, there's one more entry which reinsurance of all this which is exempt will also enjoy a exemption. So government has given very wide exemption when it comes to their own schemes like hunt insurance, cattle insurance, Janta personal accident insurance, all these enjoy an exemption. Then we also speak about entries like we have the circulars relating to these affiliation services provided to colleges is taxable, to government schools exempt, to other private schools will be taxable, because affiliation, for any affiliation which is provided by any state or central board, it is not regarded as a education institute. It is education institute only for the limited purpose of conduct of examination fee. Only for examination fee they are regarded as education institute, not for other things. Then beware of government entry. Various circulars are there relating to government entry which you need to be very much aware of. Beware of transportation and renting difference. Transportation is specific journey, while renting a specific period of time. If you take it on rent for a period of time, then it will enjoy a exemption. For renting, there are very few exemptions, like you have that renting of bus given to a state transport undertaking, truck given on hire to a GTA, and electric bus given on hire to a local authority. Otherwise the exemptions are mostly for transportation of passenger. So these are the entries which we saw. First we saw renting of immobile property. We entered into hiring, construction, government, education, transportation of passengers, agriculture, healthcare, financial sector, miscellaneous sectors. So revise it once, practice some questions on exemptions before you see the next video.